The strongest man is calm. Part 1. The Storm Within. Hook. What if I told you that the strongest man in the world is not the one who can lift the heaviest weight, win the most fights, or silence every enemy? What if true strength is found in something most people overlook, the ability to remain calm when everything around you is falling apart? Most people believe power is loud. They think strength is about proving yourself, arguing harder, or reacting faster. But history tells a different story. The men who left the greatest legacy were often the ones who mastered themselves before they ever tried to master the world. This is the story of a warrior who believed strength meant conquering others. Only after losing everything did he discover that the greatest battle was always within himself. Chapter 1. The Young Warrior. Long ago, in a village surrounded by towering mountains, lived a young man named Adrian. He was known throughout the land for his incredible strength. As a child, he could lift stones that grown men struggled to move. By the time he became a young man, no one could defeat him in wrestling, sword practice, or running races. The villagers admired him. Children dreamed of becoming like him. Even experienced warriors respected him. But Adrian had one dangerous weakness: his temper. It took only a single insult to ignite his anger. A careless word could turn into a fight. A challenge became a battle. A disagreement became an enemy. People feared his strength, but they also feared his rage. Adrian believed fear was respect. He thought that if people were afraid of him, they would never betray him. He was wrong. Chapter 2. The Challenge. One morning, a traveler arrived in the village. Unlike the powerful warriors Adrian had defeated before, this man looked ordinary. His clothes were dusty from years of travel. His beard was gray. His hands showed no sign of carrying weapons. He carried only a walking stick. The villagers laughed. Surely this old man isn't a fighter. But the traveler calmly asked if anyone wished to spar. Adrian stepped forward immediately. The crowd cheered. "This will be over in seconds," someone whispered. The traveler smiled kindly. "I do not wish to hurt you." Those words made Adrian furious. He charged forward with incredible speed. His fist cut through the air. The traveler stepped aside. Again Adrian attacked. Again he missed. Every punch became slower. Every breath became heavier. His frustration grew. The more angry he became, the calmer the traveler looked. Minutes passed. Sweat poured down Adrian's face. Finally, exhausted and blinded by rage, Adrian stumbled. The traveler gently touched his shoulder. Adrian lost his balance and fell. Silence filled the village square. The strongest warrior had been defeated. Not by greater muscles. Not by greater speed. But by greater self-control. Chapter 3. The Lesson. Adrian stood up, expecting the traveler to mock him. Instead, the old man bowed respectfully. Adrian asked, "How did you beat me?" The traveler answered quietly, "I never fought your body. I fought your anger. You lost because you could not control yourself." Those words struck Adrian harder than any punch. The traveler continued, "Strength without control is like a sword without a handle. It wounds everyone, including the one holding it. For years you have trained your body. But you have neglected your mind." Adrian had no answer. For the first time in his life, silence filled his heart. Chapter 4. Leaving Home. That night Adrian could not sleep. He replayed every mistake. Every fight. Every insult. Every moment when anger had stolen his peace. Before sunrise, he packed a small bag. He left his village. He followed the traveler into the mountains. His journey had begun. He thought he was learning how to become stronger. Instead, he was about to learn how to become calmer. Chapter 5. The Mountain of Silence. After days of walking, they reached a quiet mountain. No crowds. No applause. No battles. Only wind moving through ancient trees. The traveler pointed toward a flat stone. "Sit." Adrian obeyed. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. An hour passed. Still nothing. Finally, Adrian became impatient. When will the training begin? The old man smiled. It already has. Adrian looked confused. You cannot master the world if you cannot master one quiet hour. Every day they repeated the same exercise. Sit. Watch the sunrise. Listen to the birds. Notice every thought without chasing it. At first, Adrian hated it. His mind raced. He remembered old arguments. He imagined future victories. He became restless. But slowly, his breathing became deeper. His thoughts became quieter. For the first time, he experienced peace. Chapter 6: The First Test. Weeks later, the traveler led Adrian back to a nearby town. As they walked through the market, a man accidentally bumped into Adrian. The stranger laughed. You look weak. Months earlier, Adrian would have attacked instantly. His fists tightened. His heart beat faster. Then he remembered the old man's words. I fought your anger. Adrian inhaled slowly. He smiled. I'm sorry if I was in your way. The stranger stared in confusion. He expected a fight. Instead, he walked away. The traveler nodded. You won. Adrian looked surprised. I didn't fight. Exactly. The strongest victory is the battle no one sees. At that moment, Adrian realized something profound. Remaining calm required far more courage than throwing a punch. Every peaceful decision made him stronger. Every controlled emotion sharpened his character. Every silent victory built an unbreakable mind. He understood that real strength wasn't measured by how many people he could defeat. It was measured by how well he could govern himself. As the sun disappeared behind the mountains, Adrian felt different. His muscles were the same. His body was the same. But his mind had begun to change. For the first time in his life, he understood the meaning of the old traveler's words. The strongest man is calm. End of Part 1. The story continues in Part 2, where Adrian faces betrayal, loss, and impossible challenges that test whether his newfound calm is truly unbreakable. The strongest man is calm. Part 2, The Fire That Could Not Burn Him. Chapter 1, The Return to the World. Months passed on the mountain. Adrian was no longer the man who had arrived full of pride and anger. Every sunrise had taught him patience. Every quiet morning had taught him discipline. Every moment of silence had become another stone in the foundation of his character. One morning, the old traveler approached him. It is time. Adrian looked up. Time for what? The old man smiled. Time to discover whether your calm belongs only to the mountain, or whether it belongs to you. Those words settled heavily in Adrian's heart. It was easy to remain calm when surrounded by birdsong, flowing rivers, and peaceful forests. The real test would come among people. The old traveler handed Adrian a simple walking staff. No sword? Adrian asked. You once believed your sword was your greatest strength, the old man replied. Today, your mind will be your greatest weapon. Together they began the journey back toward the cities. Chapter 2, The Market of Chaos. After several days, they entered a bustling marketplace. Merchants shouted over one another. Children ran between the stalls. Animals pulled heavy carts through crowded streets. Everywhere there was noise. Adrian felt his heart beat faster. The chaos reminded him of the man he used to be. Suddenly a merchant accused him of knocking over a basket of fruit. You clumsy fool! The merchant shouted. People turned to watch. Months earlier Adrian would have answered with anger. Instead, he took a slow breath. I didn't knock it over, Adrian said calmly. But I'll help you pick it up. The merchant blinked in surprise. The crowd expected an argument. Instead, Adrian knelt and gathered the scattered fruit. Seeing this, a young boy joined him. Then an elderly woman. Soon several strangers were helping. Within minutes the basket was full again. The merchant lowered his head. I was wrong, he admitted. I'm sorry. Adrian smiled gently. There is nothing to forgive. The old traveler watched quietly. As they walked away, he said, When one person refuses to feed anger, anger begins to starve. Adrian carried those words with him. Chapter 3: The Insult. That evening they stopped at an inn. Travelers gathered around the fire, sharing stories of battles and victories. One soldier looked at Adrian's simple clothes and laughed. "You don't look like much," another added. "Maybe he lost all his courage along the road." The room erupted with laughter. Adrian felt a familiar spark inside his chest. His fists tightened. His breathing quickened. The old Adrian was still there, waiting. He wanted to stand. He wanted to prove himself. Then he remembered every sunrise on the mountain. He remembered sitting through restless thoughts until they passed. He closed his eyes for a moment. One deep breath. Then another. When he opened his eyes, he simply smiled. "Perhaps," Adrian said quietly, "the man who must constantly prove his strength is still searching for it." The room became silent. No one knew how to answer. The soldiers looked at one another. The oldest among them stood and bowed his head. "There is wisdom in your words." That night Adrian understood something important. Silence often speaks louder than shouting. Calm often wins battles that force never could. Chapter 4: The Village in Fear. Several days later they reached a village gripped by panic. A wildfire had broken out in the nearby hills. Smoke filled the sky. Families rushed through the streets carrying whatever they could save. Some screamed. Some argued. Others froze, unable to decide what to do. Fear spread faster than the flames. Adrian looked toward the old traveler. "What should we do?" The old man answered. "What does your calm tell you?" Adrian took one slow breath. He looked carefully instead of reacting. He noticed a stream flowing behind the village. He noticed dozens of empty buckets. He noticed strong young men running in every direction without a plan. He climbed onto a large stone. His voice remained steady. "Listen!" People slowly turned. "If we panic, we lose. If we work together, we have hope." His calm voice spread through the frightened crowd. He organized one group to carry water. Another cleared brush to slow the fire. Others helped the elderly and children reach safety. Hour after hour they worked. By sunset the fire was finally under control. The village had been saved. Not because Adrian was the strongest man there, but because he remained calm when everyone else surrendered to fear. As the villagers thanked him, Adrian quietly looked toward the old traveler. The old man simply nodded. This time there was no lesson to explain. Adrian had lived it. He was beginning to understand that true leadership is born from self-control. End of Part 2. Beginning. The story continues as Adrian faces betrayal by someone he trusts, a powerful rival who tries to provoke him into anger, and the greatest test of his life, a challenge that proves once and for all that the strongest man is calm. The strongest man is calm. Part 3. The final test of the warrior. Opening. There comes a moment in every person's life when all the lessons they have learned are tested at once. Not in comfort. Not in peace. But in pain. The world does not ask if you have read wise books. It does not ask how many speeches you have listened to. It asks only one question. Who are you when everything begins to fall apart? For Adrian, that moment had finally arrived. Chapter 1. The Messenger. The morning sun had barely risen above the mountains when a rider arrived at the village. His horse was exhausted. Dust covered his clothes. His face carried the weight of terrible news. He jumped from his horse and rushed toward Adrian. "Master!" Adrian looked into the young man's frightened eyes. "What happened?" The messenger struggled to breathe. "Your old village." Adrian's heart grew heavy. "Has been attacked." For a moment, time seemed to stop. The wind became silent. The birds stopped singing. Images from his childhood rushed through his mind. His parents. His friends. The people he had grown up with. His fists slowly tightened. The old anger whispered once again. "Destroy whoever did this. Make them suffer." For one brief second, Adrian felt the fire return. Then he closed his eyes. He remembered the old traveler's words. A calm mind sees what an angry mind cannot. He inhaled slowly, then opened his eyes. We leave immediately. Chapter 2: The Road Home. The journey lasted 3 days. Along the road, Adrian spoke very little. Every mile brought new thoughts. What if my family is gone? What if everything has been destroyed? Fear tried to enter his heart. Anger tried to take control. But every time those emotions appeared, he returned to his breathing. Step after step, breath after breath. The old traveler walked beside him. Neither man spoke. Some lessons needed no words. Chapter 3: Ashes. When Adrian finally reached the hill overlooking his village, his heart sank. Several homes had burned. Smoke still drifted into the sky. Broken carts lay scattered across the road. People moved quietly among the ruins. Children cried. Old men searched through ashes. Women comforted frightened families. Adrian wanted to scream. Instead, he walked calmly into the village. An elderly woman recognized him. Adrian! Tears filled her eyes. You came back. He embraced her gently. What happened? She pointed toward the northern hills. A band of raiders. They took food. They burned homes. They kidnapped several young men. The villagers surrounded Adrian. Some begged for revenge. Others demanded war. Lead us. Punish them. Destroy them. The younger Adrian would have agreed without hesitation. But now, he stood silently. The entire village waited. Finally, Adrian spoke. If we act from anger, we will become exactly like the men who attacked us. The crowd fell silent. We will rescue those who were taken. We will defend our homes. But we will not allow hatred to become our master. The villagers stared at him. Many expected rage. Instead, they found wisdom. Chapter 4: Into the Forest. Before sunrise, Adrian chose 12 volunteers. Not the strongest. Not the loudest. The calmest. As they entered the forest, one young warrior whispered, Shouldn't we attack immediately? Adrian shook his head. A hunter who rushes frightens away his prey. Hours later they found footprints. Broken branches. Fresh campfire ashes. The raiders were close. One of Adrian's companions gripped his sword. They're right ahead. Let's charge. Adrian raised one hand. No. Everyone stopped. He listened carefully. The wind carried distant voices. Laughter. Arguments. The raiders were distracted. Adrian smiled. They are already defeating themselves. Instead of charging, they waited. As night fell, the raiders became careless. Some argued. Others drank heavily. Several wandered away from camp. Adrian whispered, Now. Without unnecessary violence. They freed the prisoners. They escaped unnoticed. Not a single innocent person was harmed. Not a single reckless charge was needed. As dawn broke, the rescued villagers embraced their families. One young man asked Adrian, How did you know waiting was the right choice? Adrian smiled. Because anger wanted me to attack. But wisdom told me to observe. Chapter 5: The Greatest Victory. Several days later, the leader of the raiders came alone to Adrian's village. He expected a battle. Instead, Adrian walked out to meet him. The raider sneered. So, you're the famous warrior. I expected someone more frightening. Adrian remained silent. The raider continued throwing insults. He hoped to provoke a fight. Nothing worked. Finally, frustrated, he shouted, Are you afraid? Adrian looked directly into his eyes. I am no longer afraid of my greatest enemy. The raider laughed. And who is that? Adrian answered. My own anger. For the first time, the raider had no reply. He realized something he had never encountered before. A man who cannot be provoked. Cannot be defeated. The greatest victory was not over an enemy. It was over himself. End of Part 3 beginning. The story continues as Adrian's reputation spreads across kingdoms. Kings seek his advice, warriors come to challenge him, and his final lesson reveals why the strongest man is not the one who conquers others, but the one who conquers himself. The strongest man is calm. Part 4. The king who could not be shaken. Opening. A calm mind is easy to keep when life is peaceful. But what happens when power, fame, temptation, and betrayal all arrive at your door? That is where true strength is revealed. By now, Adrian had become known across the kingdoms. Travelers spoke of the warrior who defeated enemies without hatred. Villagers told stories of the man who remained calm while others panicked. Some admired him. Others doubted him. Many believed his calm was only luck. Soon, the greatest test of his life would prove them wrong. Chapter 1. A message from the king. One cool morning, a royal messenger rode into Adrian's village. He dismounted, bowed respectfully, and held out a scroll sealed with the king's crest. Adrian broke the seal and read the message. To Adrian, the man whose wisdom has spread throughout the kingdom. I request your presence at my palace. Our land stands on the edge of conflict, and I seek your counsel. The villagers gathered around him. You must go, one elder said. Our kingdom needs peace, another added. Adrian looked toward the mountains where the old traveler had once trained him. Though the old man was no longer by his side, his teachings echoed in Adrian's heart. The calmest path is often the hardest, Adrian whispered. He packed only a cloak, a walking staff, and a small bag of food. He left at sunrise. Chapter 2. The Palace of Gold. After many days of travel, Adrian reached the capital. The city was unlike anything he had seen. Tall towers stretched toward the sky. Busy streets overflowed with merchants and travelers. The royal palace gleamed with polished stone and golden banners. Guards escorted Adrian through grand halls filled with nobles dressed in fine robes. Some whispered as he passed. Is that the famous warrior? He doesn't even carry a sword. How can such a simple man advise a king? Adrian ignored the whispers. He walked with steady steps, neither proud nor ashamed. At last he entered the throne room. The king sat upon a magnificent throne. His face showed wisdom, but also exhaustion. You have traveled far, the king said. I have, Adrian replied. The king smiled. Then let us speak as two men seeking truth. Chapter 3. A Kingdom Divided. The king spread a map across a large table. Our borders are threatened, he explained. Neighboring rulers prepare for war. My generals demand an immediate attack. My advisors argue among themselves. Fear grows among the people. He looked into Adrian's eyes. What would you do? The room fell silent. Generals waited for the warrior's answer. Adrian studied the map before speaking. A battle should be the final choice, not the first. Some generals scoffed. That is weakness, one declared. Adrian remained calm. No, he answered. Weakness is allowing fear to make your decisions. The room grew quiet again. He continued. When anger leads, wisdom follows too late. The king leaned back, thoughtful. Chapter 4. The Proud General. Among the king's advisors stood General Marcus, a man famous for countless victories. He disliked Adrian immediately. What can a wandering philosopher teach soldiers? Marcus asked loudly. The battlefield belongs to strong men. Adrian smiled gently. And strength begins in the mind. Marcus laughed. Then prove it. He challenged Adrian to a public contest, not of swords, but of leadership. The king accepted. The next morning, both men would face the same challenge. Whichever leader guided a group more wisely would earn the king's trust. Chapter 5. The Test. At dawn, two groups of soldiers stood ready. Marcus barked orders. His voice thundered across the training grounds. Faster! Harder! Anyone who fails will be punished. His soldiers obeyed, but fear filled their faces. Then Adrian stepped before his group. He spoke quietly. We succeed together. If one person falls behind, we help him. If one grows tired, another encourages him. His soldiers exchanged surprised glances. The challenge began. At first, Marcus's team moved faster. His confidence grew. But as the hours passed, exhaustion spread. Mistakes multiplied. Arguments broke out. Meanwhile, Adrian's team stayed steady. They communicated clearly. They supported one another. They solved problems without panic. By sunset, Adrian's team finished first. Not because they were stronger. Because they stayed united. The king smiled. The calm leader creates calm followers. General Marcus lowered his head. For the first time, he realized that shouting could command obedience, but calm could inspire loyalty. Chapter 6: The Night of Betrayal. That evening, while Adrian rested in a quiet room of the palace, he heard footsteps outside his door. A young guard rushed inside. "Master Adrian! What is it?" "The king has been poisoned." The palace erupted into chaos. Servants ran through the halls. Soldiers drew their swords. Accusations flew from every direction. Some blamed rival kingdoms. Others blamed palace servants. Many pointed toward General Marcus. Everyone demanded immediate arrests. Adrian raised his hand. "No one moves until we know the truth." His calm voice cut through the panic. He remembered the lesson that had changed his life years before. An angry mind sees enemies everywhere. A calm mind searches for the truth. He began asking careful questions instead of making accusations. Every answer revealed another piece of the puzzle. Someone inside the palace wanted the kingdom to tear itself apart from fear. And Adrian knew that if he allowed panic to spread, the true enemy would already have won. End of Part 4 opening. The story continues as Adrian uncovers the hidden traitor, saves the kingdom without seeking revenge, and faces the greatest decision of his life, proving once again that the strongest man is calm.